Become a copywriter making more than $10,000 a month faster than you could ever imagine. Today's episode is brought to you by Thrive Themes. Beautiful WordPress templates, beautiful landing pages, and perfect sales pages. Everything you need to make your business thrive. Go to servenomaster.com/Thrive Themes.
Are you tired of dealing with your boss? Do you feel underpaid and underappreciated? If you want to make it online, fire your boss and start living your retirement dreams now, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Serve No Master Podcast, where you'll learn how to open new revenue streams and make money while you sleep. Presented live from a tropical island in the South Pacific by best-selling author Jonathan Green. Now, here's your host.
Copywriting is the most valuable and most financially dynamic skill that you can develop. If you have the ability to write good copy, you can find employment anytime you need. You can find amazing projects. You can make more money from your own projects. It really unlocks the entire universe. I'm someone who always struggled with copywriting. I really didn't even start trying to learn until a year ago. So for 5 years, I was hiring copywriters and partnering with copywriters. And I was saying, I can't handle copy. It's too hard for me. So I want to kind of take you through a way to become a successful copywriter without you having to spend a penny, and how you can make money very quickly for being a copywriter. I am developing some courses with some copywriters I work with to kind of teach copywriting methodology. But the truth is, you don't need any of them. I'm going to teach you everything you need in the course of the next 20 minutes. To learn copywriting is very simple. All you need is an iPad or a laptop or even a printer and a notebook. Find 100 amazing direct response ads from the last 100 years. I really like ones from the 30s, 40s, 50s, back during the era of everything kind of being mail order, because getting someone to cut out a piece of paper, fill in their information, attach a check to it, put it inside an envelope, put a stamp on the envelope and mail it to you, that is really getting someone to take an action. That's very powerful copy. That's much more powerful than just getting someone to click a link and then clicking accept in their PayPal account, right? It's not as much effort for them to do that. So I look for, great authors of the past, people like John Caples and Gene Schwartz, and there's a lot of other copywriters. And I have a blog post on my website where I list tons of the other really great copywriters in history and some links and stuff. So you can go grab some of those, but you just look for ads from the past. And you find these amazing copywriting ads, and all you do is every night for 30 to 60 minutes, copy them by hand. Now, this is a manual process. This is not fun because it's kind of work. I mean, it's not horrible. It's just like being at school again. But if you do this in 6 months, you'll be very good at copy. This very simple process. This is the simplest and easiest way to learn copy and get pretty good at it. And there's a couple of books you can read. There's a book by Caples. There's a book by Schwartz. There's 5 or 10 really great copywriting books that have been on Amazon. They were all written more than 30 years ago, and they're amazing. And I'll post all the links to them in the notes for this podcast episode, the books that I really recommend. But you don't need to buy $1,000 courses. And you don't even need to buy those books, right? Those books are all like $5, $7, $20, depending what Amazon's charging that day. You don't even need to spend that money. You can just simply spend the next 6 months with your head down, and every day you just spend 30 to 60 minutes hand copying direct response ads. There's a lot of places where you can find PDFs with 100 ads in them and find these ads and copy them. And there's a lot of really good ones out there, greatest ads in history and different things like that. That's all you really need to do, because it will teach your brain to think in this specific way. You'll start to learn the patterns. Once you have this ability to write creatively, writing copy is different than writing a book. When I write a book, I'm giving information, but writing copy is much more about emotion, much more about a journey, much more about drawing someone to my world, connecting to their pain, connecting to their needs, connecting to their desires. It's a different type of writing. And that's why I kind of struggle, because I'm so good at one type, to move into another area that's totally different, where I'm a total beginner suddenly. It was hard. Now I've spent about a year becoming a better copywriter, and I would say I'm okay. I'm certainly not a great copywriter. I'm not a tier 1 copywriter. I'm not one of those guys getting $10,000 or $25,000 to write a single sales letter. But those guys are out there, and I could get to that level if this is all I wanted to do. I'm continuing to improve doing copy. I do get paid for copywriting projects more and more, but I just want to share with you honestly where I am on my journey. You can do the exact same thing. This means that within 6 months of just putting in an hour a day, you can start to take on copywriting clients. Once you have a basic idea of how to write creatively, how to write in the language of a copywriter, you can then move forward into trying to find clients and trying to make money. So let me take you through that process. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. This is the most common mistake that copywriters make. Most people approach copy as a completely creative process. It's not. It's a very logical and procedural process And it's all about systems. And at the very end, you implement the creativity. Now, you've mastered creativity by spending 6 months filling notebooks and just writing 30 to 60 minutes a night. That time, that investment, that sacrifice, that will give you the ability to write in kind of copywriting language. So then what you want to do is be able to write for the market you're approaching. There's certain places where you want to put up ads to say, hey, copywriter for hire. Maybe you want to put up ads on Fiverr, on Upwork, set up your own website, post on some of the forums. And again, I'll post a bunch of different places where you can post ads to say you're a copywriter for hire. And what you'll do when you're writing your ad, you're going to go, how do I write an ad saying I'm a copywriter? All you do is look for the person who's doing the best in the market. Look at the structure of their sales letter, right? It'll be subheadline, headline, mention the pain point, mention their experience, mention testimonies. You look at the structure. You deconstruct their structure into a mind map or into an outline using Scrivener, and then you write your own letter following the same structure. Do not plagiarize anything. You don't need to steal language. That's not necessary because you know how to write amazing language from the time you've spent and invested in hand copying letters. So language isn't a problem for you. You just use the same type of language that you saw and copied into your notebook. It's very natural for you. So now you have an ad and it follows this structure. And every time you find a client, they'll say, hey, will you write an ad for me for my product on Amazon? And you go, oh, I've never done an Amazon project before. What's the structure? And this is what people pay a lot of money for. People go and they'll buy a course. Copywriting courses are $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. And all those courses really do is teach you that person's personal favorite structure. But you can learn the exact same thing without spending a bunch of money just by reading one of their sales letters. You'll be able to write direct response copy just by what you've handwritten. You'll be, if you jump back in time 100 years and needed to write ads that would sell in the 1920s, now you'll know how because you've done so many by hand. And this is really what I consider the golden age of copywriting because they just had to work so much harder to succeed. Nowadays, it's much easier to get someone to click that link as opposed to getting them to fill out forms and send in stuff by mail and have to wait for the book to come 6 weeks later, all of those things. That process was more challenging because it required more effort. With the advent of technology, we don't have to be as good at copywriting now as we used to. A lot of copy now, a lot of sales letters now only work for 3 or 6 months. And then when they try and send new traffic, new customers, new viewers to that commercial, that ad, it doesn't work anymore. So we have to constantly change what we're doing because of the way the market's changing. Whereas ads in the past, sometimes they would run the same ad for 20 or 30 years. So you post an ad, you reverse engineered the competition, and you've written something with the same structure that says, here's what I can do, here's the kind of prices I'm offering. Now, at first, you'll have to offer like discount prices. Hey, for the first 10 clients, I'll do 40% off, 60% off, 50% off, whatever. People will come to you, and you'll get the kind of clients that are really the cheapest clients. You're not going to get the best clients. I'll tell you that right now. You're going to get the people that can't really afford someone better. But what you're also going to get is experience, testimonials, reviews, and the experience of working with real clients where people have actually paid you to write something. You do have to put in some work and you'll start to experience what it's like to work really hard and be like, oh, it takes actually this much time to do this and this much time to do that. Experience is really the best teacher. So you'll take on different types of jobs and you'll start with small jobs, writing a little letter here or something for a magazine there, and you'll work up to writing longer letters. Some longer copywriting projects I've done are like 8,000 words. They're very long, some of these things, especially when you're writing videos, which is the top end of the market where you're writing a sales letter for a video, a script. Some of the scripts I've worked on, they're like 30, 45-minute scripts. They're very long. So you'll kind of do the whole spectrum. And sometimes you'll get jobs where you're just writing the script for a little commercial and someone's doing an animation or something like that. But you'll get all these projects. And whenever you get a project and you don't know the structure, just look for something similar in the same market and follow the structure without stealing the language. This is how we have a process. We go, oh, this is a structure that works. This is where the testimonials go. This is where the opening of loops goes. This is where they talk about time constraints. This is where they talk about all the different elements. This is where we talk about, oh, here's your bonus 1, bonus 2, bonus 3. Here's where we do the price reveal. All these different elements. Here's how we do the guarantee. Sometimes the guarantee is earlier. Sometimes it's later. This is really where you'll be at the lower intermediate to intermediate level of copywriting. For the first month, because you're just first getting ads, you'll be discounted. But after that first month, once you've had a few happy clients, once you've had some success, you can start charging $297 for a project that takes you 1 to 2 days. So now you're making more than minimum wage and you're just getting started. Remember, with copywriting, your growth is exponential. Time is irrelevant. Skill is all that matters. I know people who are at the top of the game. They get paid anywhere from 20 to 50% off the top. If you're a tier 1 copywriter, top of the game, top guys in the business, you go to a company and say, hey, you have an ad. Run mine as a competition. and give me 50% of everything my ad makes on top of what the other ad was making. So if the other ad was making $50,000 a month and your ad is making $60,000 a month, you'll make $5,000 a month. That's how people go in and they say, hey, let me compete with your best ad. If I outperform, I get paid. If I don't outperform, I get nothing. And that's where you're at the top of the game, you're the best, and you know you can do amazing things. When you start to work with different partners and product creators and people that have big businesses, sometimes they'll say, I need you to write all of the emails, I need you to write the sales letters, the upsells, the downsells, this entire structure, and I'll give you 20% of everything. People doing that, and they get that 20% of businesses that are generating millions of dollars. When you build up, you can build up to high numbers. So you'll start off low. You'll start off writing this for $25, this for $97 as you're building your portfolio. Then you'll start to be one of those guys that does small projects at $297. Within 3 months, you can jump that up to $497, then $997. It really doesn't take a long time. Within a year from right now, you can be a $997 sales letter copywriter all day long. And you'll get 10 jobs a month and you'll make $10,000 a month. Now, that's not huge money. That's not life-changing money, but that's very nice money. I'm no longer in debt money. This is amazing money when I still have my other job. That's amazing part-time job money. That's more than most people make in our country. So it's really great revenue. This is a way you can become a copywriter and within a year be making $10,000 a month following this simple pattern. Our creativity comes from our hand copying, and our structure comes from looking at what other ads are doing in the market and looking at their structure, looking at the pieces. And as far as learning the different pieces, I don't use the official names all the time because the books I read are older books. I don't use a lot of the modern copywriting terms. Most of my structure, most of my knowledge comes from books that are 50, 60 years ago. I'm surrounded by guys that do make $10,000 to $25,000 for each letter they write, and this is what they study. This is exactly how you can become a copywriter without having to spend any money, without having to buy expensive courses, without having to learn someone else's structure. All people really sell in those copywriting courses are templates. And templates aren't that hard to find. If you want to see someone's template, all you have to do is sign up to one of their lists and let them email you. And now you can see their email template. Go to one of their sales videos. You can see their sales video template. This is how you can avoid spending huge amounts of money. Now, eventually, when you're getting $997 a sales letter and you want to go up, you want to move up to $1,997 and $3,000 and then jump to $5,000. You want to work your way up until you're getting that $10,000. At that point, you do have to start investing in some coaching and in some of the higher level courses to go from good to amazing. That's where you need some mentorship. That's where you need the higher level guidance. But you know my philosophy is spend from profits. That's why I want to teach you a free way to make money that you can then use to invest in courses. I would much rather you spend the next 6 months learning copy by handwriting, taking small projects, making a little bit of money, and then use that profit to buy my copywriting course than have you buy the course today. If those are my two choices, I'd much rather you make money and use the money to buy my course because that means you're being fiscally responsible. That means you're following the serve no master methodology. And that's something I can be proud of. I'm very proud of you sticking to the right pattern. Even if it means I sell less copies, I don't care about that. I care more about your long-term success. I would rather have 1,000 people be very successful and kind of journey with me and follow this philosophy for the next 50 years than have 1 million people that only stick with me for 2 months. That's just my mindset because that means I can continue to grow and continue to build things and watch people have amazing success and all these amazing things. When I imagine that future, it's very bright for me. It's very exciting for me to imagine just 1,000 people being on the same journey with me, a very small tribe. People that I can have significant effect on and significantly change their lifestyles and help all 1,000 of them become millionaires. That would be amazing for me. That's really my goal. That's why I want to teach you starting off from the beginning, especially because yesterday I talked so much about watching your money, watching your finances. That's why I want to show you a pattern to make money. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to spend money to make money online. You don't have to spend a penny. In the notes below this, and I have a blog post that I wrote about how to learn copywriting for cheap as well. I'll have all the links to everything you need, all the books on Amazon that I like. And all of these books, you can actually go to your local library. Most of them have them because they're so old. You can find them in used bookstores for like $1 or like 30 cents a book because they're older. They're not hard to find. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to spend any money learning this stuff. And you can take the knowledge, studying other people's ads, and then make money. That's what's so amazing. You don't need to get caught up in the hype. The thing about copywriting is it's not very flashy. It's not like learning how to push a button on Facebook and make $1 million tomorrow, but it's a skill that has really long-term value. If you're really good at copy and the internet collapses tomorrow, you can still make money writing newspaper ads, writing ads for the yellow pages, writing television ads, writing radio ads. Every medium you can operate in. You can write phone sales scripts. You can do all of these other things. Copywriting is a really universal skill that's not internet dependent. That's why it's very powerful. It really provides you a lot of opportunity. And if English is your second language, the opportunity for you as a copywriter is so much bigger. In most foreign languages, there's a real lack of copywriters right now. It's something I kind of recently discovered by talking to someone who's a big copywriter in Germany. In English, there's probably 100 people right now that are kind of teaching copy and kind of well known and have their followings. Whereas you go to a country like Germany, and there's only 3 or 4 copywriters in the whole country kind of doing this type of work. So in foreign languages, there's a really big opportunity because if you can take an English sales letter, convert it to your native language, and then translate the energy, because a word-to-word translation will lose the value of the copy because copy is telling a story. The things that emotionally affect Americans aren't the things that emotionally affect French people. They're not things that emotionally affect people in China. Because the cultural experience affects and determines what type of copy people respond to. If you are not a native speaker, you can actually be much more successful because you can then approach anyone who has a really successful product in English and say, hey, I'd love to do the Spanish version of your product. Let me write the Spanish copy. Let me create the Spanish sales letter. Let me translate your product into Spanish and we'll split the money. And there's a lot of people that do that. There's a very successful business model actually. Into Spanish, into Brazil, to approach the Portuguese market, into European languages, into Russian, into Chinese. There's a huge market there if you just know how to speak your nation's language. So you start off learning copy in English, or you can find great direct response ads in your native language if they have them. That's outside my knowledge, but I'm sure they exist. You could carve out your own different spot in the market. And at first, you're taking work from other people. You start off getting paid to write copy, and that's because you're getting paid to learn. Then you move beyond that, and you start to partner on projects, or you take other people's products and translate them into another language, or help them move into another market, and you start getting a percentage of projects. Then you can get to the point where you can make your own products, your own courses, write the copy yourself, and you make all the money. That's when you become really top of the game. That's where I make my biggest money, when I write the copy myself, create the product myself, then I control everything. And that's the next level. That's the top of the game. And that's a really great way to get there. My path started off creating content and working into developing copy. But if you start from copy, you can make more money faster, do more amazing things. There's a lot more work for copywriters than there are for content creators. There's tons of work for nonfiction writers. There's tons of work for the type of creativity that I do. But oh man, there's so much more work. It pays more for copywriters. There's so much more opportunity there. I want you to think about today's lesson. Think about if it gets you excited, if the idea of writing words that motivate people to do things really excites you, if the thought of making $10,000 a month within a year excites you, if those kind of processes excite you, then that will help you sit down and spend the next 6 to 12 months putting in that hour hand copying. Now, you don't have to spend 6 months. Maybe in 3 months you start taking work, but continue to do hand copying for a long time. As long as you keep doing that, your copy will continue to get better and better and better. And you just need to spend 30 to 60 minutes a night doing it. You're never going to copy an entire letter in a single night. Believe me. It takes like a week for me to copy even one short letter because there's so much in there. When you're writing, you realize how much slower writing is than reading, and you really absorb the words. Invest that time, put in that effort, and you can achieve amazing things. And I also really think you should consider setting up your copywriting website right now and start your blog, recording your journey. Write about your copywriting journey. So every night you copy part of a sales letter, then you write about what you learned. You say, hey, I was copying this sales letter about how to have perfect English from 1902. And it was so interesting to me to realize that the things people wanted to fix 100 years ago are the same things people want to fix now. You can write about your journey, write about what you're learning, and that way you'll learn it by copying, and then you'll kind of solidify the learning by blogging about it. And then when you start to launch your products and start to sell services via that website, you'll already have a backbone of content. It'll be much easier for you to get traffic and much easier for you to find an audience because you have so much content on there. It'll make you much more of an authority. I'm very excited, I hope you're excited too, about the possibility of becoming a master copywriter without spending a penny.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Serve No Master. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another episode. We'll be back tomorrow with more tips and tactics on how to escape that rat race. Head over to servenomaster.com/podcasts now for your chance to win a free copy of Jonathan's bestseller, Serve No Master. All you have to do is leave a 5-star review of this podcast. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Serve No Master podcast. Email your questions to podcast@servenomaster.com, and your question with my answer might appear in the next episode.